The Chicago White Sox split a doubleheader with the Kansas City Royals yesterday. In two games, the Sox scored a total of 4 runs. Their offensive woes continue to be absolutely confusing. The Sox got solid performance from Dylan Cease and a very promising outing from Davis Martin, his first outing for the White Sox. Lucas Giolito goes for the Sox on Wednesday, and hopefully some bats will show up.
You are Locked On White Sox, your daily Chicago White Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Sox fans, welcome to Locked On White Sox. Thank you for making Locked On White Sox your first listen each and every day. We're free and available on all platforms. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Locked On Sox. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just search Locked On White Sox. Hey, I'm your host, Nick Morawski, a lifelong diehard Chicago White Sox fan, recording this podcast just blocks from the ballpark in beautiful Bridgeport. You can find me on Twitter at Nick_GGTB. I really appreciate you letting me steal some of your time to talk White Sox. Locked On White Sox is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Davis Martin looked very good in his first outing for the White Sox. Dylan Cease went more than 4 innings and got a win. But when will some consistent offense show up? The state of the Sox, they are 18-18, still chasing the Twins in the AL Central. After 36 games last season, the White Sox were 22-14 and had a 1.5 lead in the Central. So that is essentially where we're at right now. That's the reality. Not trying to be negative, just making some comparisons. Here we are in 2022 in a championship window, sitting here May 18th at 18-18. Let's go over some of these games here, shall we? We'll go with game one. That had a little bit more excitement to it. Sox beat the Royals 3-0 in game one. Cease coming into the game, Dylan Cease had a 3-2 record with an ERA of 2.96 and 61 strikeouts in 10 appearances against the Royals in his career. Again, he pitched against the Royals back in April. He went 6 innings, gave up 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 3 walks, and 9 strikeouts. Dylan Cease was pretty good on Tuesday in game one. He got into some jams early, but he had some of his wipeout stuff working. So, you know, when he has that happening, whether it's a tailing fastball or his breaking stuff, he can get into jams and he can get out of them. McGuire not really helping him out in the third, for example, letting a ball go through the 5-hole to allow a runner to advance to third and second with only 1 out. That's taxing on Cease. That's more pitches. And, you know, with a runner on third, it's got to change the approach a little bit, paying attention to the next at bat closely. You know, Cease got the strikeout, but he was not throwing anything in the dirt. And I think that was in fear of another pass ball, perhaps something that might have gotten past McGuire, but no harm, no foul. 49 pitches after 3 innings. Again, solid from Cease. He went 5 2/3 innings, gave up 7 hits, 0 earned runs, only 2 walks, 9 strikeouts. He's got his ERA at 3.09, and he threw 94 pitches and got the win. So that was nice to see. Sousa came in relief and helped out. And then Kelly, Joe Kelly, if you've been watching the White Sox lately, I guess if you've been watching since Joe Kelly came up on the team, you have been scratching your head. He has shown some electric stuff, some nasty movement. And then you've seen things where he just kind of implodes within an inning or maybe within the batter. Kelly loads the bases and then got out of it. So he got into his own jam and then got out of the jam. I don't know if that's good or bad. I guess it's a little bit of both. He has been very confusing to watch. And again, you see the potential, the things that Tony La Russa has said about Joe Kelly. And we know what Joe Kelly's track record is, right? With some previous stints, his time with the Dodgers. And I just hope he's right physically. I hope he hasn't been rushed back. Maybe it's a mental thing, but how he can all of a sudden be electric for the first few outs and then implode in a few outings in the last week or so, it's mind-boggling. But he got out of the jam. Ruiz came in, and then Hendricks locked it down for his 11th save in Game 1 against Kansas City. Offense, it was there, not a ton of it, but again, enough to get the job done. Coming into Game 1, the White Sox, with runners in scoring position, ranked 22nd in all of baseball. The slash line 216, 290, 363. It has been a problem. I mean, how many times do you feel like we get a leadoff double and we cannot score that run? Or we've got first and third with one out or no outs, and we just don't get anything or are able to have anything to show for it. In Game 1, Sox were 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position. Sox only had 5 hits, which was less than what the Royals had. We'll take you to the third, for example. Pollock and Robert could not capitalize on a leadoff double by Harrison. That's what I'm talking about. They had several chances throughout the game that will take you to the 5th inning where things got a little bit exciting. Leadoff double from McGuire, which was good to see. Harrison walked, then a wild pitch to Tim Anderson advances the runners. Heasley, who was pitching at the time, he started to lose his command because a few pitches later, he hit Anderson in the shoulder. So bases were loaded. And this, folks, is the time to stomp on throats. This is when you need to pile it on, especially against an inferior team. The pitcher now is a little, he's lost some of the command. It's the 5th inning. You've seen him. You've been observing. You've probably got a couple at bats already. This is when you just need to go to work. So AJ Pollock was up. He had a sac fly to make it 1-0 White Sox. Robert with a ground out. And now you got Abreu up with 2 outs. And boy, he has been scuffling. He's had a couple hits here and there over the last few games. But I feel like in critical situations, it's a ground ball or hitting into a double play. So Abreu's up with 2 outs, runners on second and third, and a huge base clearing double in the left center gap. Mercy. Abreu needed that. The White Sox needed that. It could have been more. I mean, they could have piled on more runs throughout the game, but Sox were up 3-0 at that point, and that's how it finished. We're going to talk a little bit more about the lack of offense. It was mentioned in the post game, NBC Sports Chicago after Game 2, and you're scratching your head. It is so confusing. And maybe it's lineup situations, maybe it's lack of consistency, but we will get to it a little bit later in this episode. Hey, Davis Martin is the latest Sox arm to raise some eyebrows. I'm going to tell you why he deserved better, though. More on that in a moment. With spring in the air, it's a time of renewal and growth personally and professionally. As your small business grows, LinkedIn Jobs is here to make it easier to find the people you want to talk to faster and for free. Create a free job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 810 million people. Then add your job and the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring so your network can help you find the right people to hire. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on the candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Did you know every week, nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonMLB. That's linkedin.com/lockedonMLB to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Thank you for making Locked On White Sox your first listen. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Now podcast, recaps of MLB games with analysis from our local experts, taking fans through the season like no other network, free and available wherever you get your podcasts. So let's talk, folks. Game 2, it had a boring feel, and I'm not just talking because Gordon Beckham was in the booth. There was lifeless, not a lot going on. You were really probably paying attention to Davis Martin, and we'll talk about him in a moment. So game 2 featured no Tim Anderson, no Abreu, and no real offense. They lost 2-1. The Sox did have Moncada, Pollock, Robert, Vaughn, and Grandal all in that lineup, and they weren't able to do much. White Sox scored 2 runs on 7 hits and had 0 walks. Manufacturing 0 walks, that is an unfortunate theme, isn't it, with our White Sox? With runners in scoring position, the Sox were 2 for 5. So the real highlight is Davis Martin. He got the call up from AAA. The White Sox are going to need some arms. And instead of going with a bullpen game, they brought Davis Martin up. Always a cool experience to watch a guy get their first start in the bigs. He was solid. He really was. I was impressed. When he gave up some stuff early on, I thought, well, wheels might be coming off, or maybe the pitch count's going to get to him. But he, maintained his composure, and it was exciting. That's a guy that hopefully the Sox will give another look to. Again, it was against the Royals, but still, 25-year-old guy, I think, making his first major league start. It was impressive. His final line, 5 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned run, only 1 walk, and 7 strikeouts. A really nice job. He went after Kansas City Royals hitters, kept it in the zone, thus the 1 walk, which again is so great to see. And that 1 run was given up in the 2nd inning. So he did not let that snowball. It happened, which he knew it was going to happen, but he was able to calm himself down. And, great job all around, getting him prepared for what he needed to do. It's just a real shame. He deserved so much better from our offense. After Martin was done, Banks came in, gave up an earned run, and Crick. Again, the Sox lost 2-1. Offense was absolutely lifeless against Brady Singer, made him look like a Cy Young candidate. I mean, Singer was good, but coming into the game against the Sox, Singer had an ERA of 6.35 and 6 strikeouts in 3 appearances this season. So he, really didn't have a lot of experience. He did not have a lot of baseball here in 2022. And, hey, he had some good stuff. He had a slider working, and it just didn't seem like our Sox hitters are able to adjust. And I guess adjusting within the game, adjusting within an at-bat is maybe one of the things that has got this offense so cold. You kind of know what this pitcher's going to do to you, and White Sox hitters are not able to make any changes. And they're going back and probably looking at the tablet in the dugout. They're talking to one another. I'm sure Frank Menachino has got some words for him here and there. But you just don't see like they're learning from anything within a game. And maybe it's, that's easier said than done. But 2 runs and 7 hits and the 0 walks that they are generating is just it's a real problem. And, Ozzie Guillen was talking about it in the post game and calling people out, which, I loved. And he made some great points. It's like, yeah, Singer was good, but you still had a lot of great hitters in that White Sox lineup. You should have been able to get some offense going. And from what I'm seeing on social media right now, it seems like Tim Anderson, he went to his Twitter account and is not too happy with what Ozzie Guillen was saying on NBC Sports Chicago in the post game, telling Ozzie that he basically needs to shut his mouth. But Ozzie's just speaking the truth. I mean, he is saying, hey, you've got an inferior team. And he was quoting what Bobby Cox told him, I think when Ozzie was playing for the Braves, that, look, when you are facing an inferior team, you beat that inferior team down. Okay, you stomp on them. And then when you're playing a tough team, you compete against those tough teams. You grind it out, and maybe you win some, you lose some. But those inferior teams, you show no mercy to. You beat them. And the Royals are one of those teams, especially here in our division, that you've got to take advantage of. You've got to beat down. And hey, we have an opportunity to win 4 or 5. I think that's very realistic for this White Sox team. Tough to sweep a doubleheader. I understand, but when you get an outing from Davis Martin, a guy that is, man, he really pitched with some guts. His first outing, you got to support that guy. You got to somehow give him some offense. And it was just a real shame to see. There was some workload management on Tuesday, which was to be expected because it was a doubleheader. But I'm going to tell you why calling the season a marathon might not be so accurate. More on that in a moment. Imagine, folks, dipping your finger into that plastic tub of birthday cake frosting and then opening your eyes and realizing that was only 150 calories and 16 grams of protein. That is what it's like to eat a birthday cake puff from Built. I just received a box of the birthday cake puffs just a few days ago. I've been enjoying those, especially before a workout or post-workout. And I have never had anything like it. I'm telling you, they are available right now, but we can't promise that they'll be there tomorrow. So go get them today at built.com. And if you haven't tried the puffs, I'm going to let you in on a secret because that's what friends do. It's a chocolate-covered marshmallow protein bar. That is correct. It is a chocolate-covered marshmallow protein bar. Delicious flavored marshmallow covered in 100% real chocolate. Make every day your birthday with Built's birthday cake puffs. Built has taken the delicious experience of biting into a fresh slice of birthday cake and robed it in 100% white chocolate and added sprinkles. With 150 calories, 16 grams of protein, and only 9 grams of sugar. This limited time flavor is an amazing option if you are looking for a healthy way to get flavor and variety in your day. All Built puffs are covered in 100% real chocolate. That means that with Built, you can eat healthy and actually enjoy doing it. Go to Built.com, use promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. So we saw some load management during the doubleheader on Tuesday, which is not surprising because it's a doubleheader and guys are going to get rested. But, I'm starting to get into the feeling that guys are getting a lot of days off. I don't know if you feel this as Sox fans, that there hasn't been a consistency in the lineup. I'd love to see, 4 or 5 games with maybe the same guys rolled out there, not only at positions, but also maybe in the spots that they're going to hit. Just try it. See, we've tried everything else. Just try some consistency. Maybe when Jimenez comes back, we can do that. But, a lot of folks will call a Major League Baseball season a marathon. Well, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And, I've ran 2 marathons, and one was unsuccessful and one was pretty successful. And I don't think I necessarily agree that a baseball season is a marathon. I mean, when you look at a marathon, you put so much effort and training before you even start the race. I would compare maybe September and maybe October baseball, maybe October playoffs, maybe that's the marathon. The training is really your season. You're doing 4 months of marathon training, much like a regular season of baseball. And when you're on a marathon and you're running, you are not trying anything new at mile 20. You're not saying, oh, you know what, maybe I'm going to try to, breathe differently, or maybe I'm going to switch up my hydration methods or what kind of fuel I'm putting into my body. maybe I'm going to change my style of running. That's not the case. And, we saw what happened last year with the 2021 White Sox. I feel like there was a lack of consistency. They couldn't get any momentum. And by the time the end of the season rolled around, they had wrapped up the division so early, started to maybe rest a few guys here and there. And, they just were flat. They got absolutely beaten, exposed by the Houston Astros. So, I don't know if it's too early to start trying to really get into marathon mode, but you're not doing it in late September, October. I feel like that's too late to start trying to get into consistent lineups, get things into a spot where you kind of know what the outcome is going to be. And that's what you do with a marathon. You put the work in during the season or during your training, you put that work in and you amp things up. Okay. But you usually keep things consistent. And then you're prepared for that marathon. No surprises because you put the work in during the regular season. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm thinking about it. I'm like, you wouldn't do this during a marathon. A season is not a marathon. Maybe the playoffs are a marathon. It's all the prep work you put in to lead up to when it really mattered. And I'm looking for some Sox lineups that are consistent. It looks like they're trying to get some sort of mirror what it could look like down the road. Okay, if they strung together 4 or 5 games of the same lineups with guys in the same position, would that make a difference? I really don't know. But hey, the Sox have tried just about everything, shuffling lineups left and right, giving guys days off, scheduled or not scheduled, but try some consistency, and see what happens. And again, hopefully when Jimenez comes back, we can see a pattern there. Wednesday's game, you've got Lucas Giolito against Zach Greinke. This will be Gio's 6th start of the season. He has not faced the Royals yet this year. Last game Giolito pitched was on May 10th against Cleveland. He went 7 innings, 6 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. Giolito's got his ERA at 2.70. The White Sox saw Zach Greinke back on April 27th. He went 6 innings, gave up 5 hits and 3 earned runs. Sox have seen Greinke quite a bit over his career, but will that result in hits and runs? We will have to see. Folks, really appreciate you making this podcast part of your daily routine. You can find the Locked On White Sox podcast everywhere you find podcasts. We are on Twitter and Instagram at Locked On Sox. You can find me on Twitter at Nick_GGTB. Thanks for making Locked On White Sox your first listen. Now make your second listen Locked On MLB. Paul Francis Sullivan, just call him Sully, brings you his unique perspective on the major leagues, past and present. It's free and available wherever you find your podcasts. Coming up on the next episode, I'm going to recap Giolito's outing and preview the Thursday finale with the Kansas City Royals. Thank you so much for making Locked On White Sox your first listen. I'm Nick Morawski. Until next time, go Sox.